Hey everybody, I am back. We have a great guest on the line. Actually, it's been almost 2 years since we talked to her. That's just way too long. But her name is Twinkle, and she does some amazing things for kids, and she's got some great outfits, and she just knows how to be a true entertainer. And I'm really excited to get her back in here to talk to you about what she's got going on, and of course, Spanish Heritage Appreciation Month, and because she's Peruvian American, she's proud to be a Peruvian American. And let's have some fun talking. So, how's it been? What's going on?
Hello. I know it's been far too long. Like I was trying to think of the last time we chatted. It's been a long time. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Things are slowly kind of getting back into the swing of things. So I'm really excited.
I am too, and it's hopeful because I think for
Yes.
so long we just didn't have the fun stuff that was coming out. We watched a lot of reruns. We didn't get to hear any new music coming out, and it's just like, oh my God, we took this for granted, and I think we shouldn't take things for granted anymore. But we should also appreciate what we have that's been put out there for us.
Exactly. And funny that you say appreciate because I'm a touring artist, so that was ridiculously hard for the last year and a half. But what I've noticed since like July, since I've started kind of slowly going back out in on the road, is that there is a newfound appreciation for live music from the audience. Like there's like an energy that is unexplainable, but as an artist on stage, even my band or my dancers, they can feel it and sense it. It's just, yeah, I think people have realized not to take things for granted, and people actually like are now appreciating like the little things in life.
So, as a performer, I know it's got to be hard not to get out there. And you just love making children smile and dance and sing and teaching them as well. And not being able to do that for a while, that must have been tough. So, how did you manage to still stay active and still stay what you were doing, despite the fact what we were kind of pushed upon?
Yeah, it was hard. I think for any artist, no matter where you are in your career, like we're always like kind of groomed that you're gonna have all these ups and downs, right? Like you're gonna have some amazing years, some not so amazing years. But that's just a given. But when there's something like a pandemic that shuts the world down, and nobody knows like when the end date is so hard. It was tough. Like I'm not gonna lie, like the first couple weeks was really tough. I honestly thought it was going to be like for maximum 2 months. But when like literally March 8th was the day that I lost like probably like from March to June. I lost all my dates from all those for all those months. So I literally in my head was like, okay, everything after June is coming back. So let me just concentrate on what's happening within the next couple of months. So I kind of like quickly started doing virtual shows on my YouTube channel, and I honestly did not think I would be doing it for I literally thought, okay, till June, that's it. But I started live streaming every single day, Monday through Friday. Like for a year and a half. I did take like a couple weeks off, like to just have like a little break. I would tell the kids, okay, it's like hiatus. I'm going to take like a 2 week break and I'll be back. But that's what I started doing. I think originally it was just to keep sane, but then I loved it. I'm not a techie, so it was like all new, trying to learn how to do all the stuff online and to virtual stream and to adjust. So that's kind of what I did to keep busy. And then obviously started doing some virtual online shows. And then throughout the year, I started like my own children's radio show that is on Jump 105.3 Pittsburgh on the weekends. So it's just kind of like you had to figure it out really quickly, like how to evolve. And so I learned some really great things. And like I said, I did it for till like from March to June of 2021. And then I took I've taken a 3-month hiatus because then I started touring and working on a new album, and I didn't want to spread myself too thin.
But the smiling faces are back.
They're
That's
back.
fun.
Oh my God, it's been amazing. It's been amazing to see live people because it's hard. It's hard to do your show or just perform, like literally staring at the little camera in your laptop, and then at the end of the song, like just imagining people clapping or response. You're like literally creating an environment of nothingness. But it's been interesting. But yeah, it's nice to hear people sing back your songs or to clap, like when you actually hear claps, and at the end of the show to like when you're doing meet and greets, even though it's slightly different because you have to abide to the venue's rules to social distancing, but it's just amazing. Like I'm so like thankful that we're back, slowly getting back out on the road.
Now, I know we can't see it right here, but I want you to kind of tell everybody a little bit about the Twinkle experience. And guys, if you're watching this, you'll see a little bit of orange on her hat. It's like a what do you call it, a bun? Now she's colorful, and I swore I was going to be shown up today, so I wore something a little crazy myself, so I could feel compatico with you here. But that's okay. But I want you to show them the experience. I want you to tell them what the experience is all about. I want you to tell them about your clothes and your costumes, and how long it takes you getting into costume, and how you came up with this concept.
Oh, thank you. Like, okay, so since I was little, I have always been like a mix match kind of girl, never following any trends. Like I've always marched to the beat of my own drum, whether it's in fashion, in music, and just who I am as a person. I've always kind of been like the outcast, just because I kind of just do my own thing. And then as you get older, you tend to appreciate that. Like when you're in like elementary school or middle school, you get made fun of, but then you learn to have a little bit of tough skin, and you're just like, well, no, this is just who I am. So, and I've always just been influenced by amazing artists like Prince and Michael Jackson and like of course Madonna, Gwen Stefani, like Gaga, Cher, like all these icons that aren't afraid to not just do their amazing music and express themselves that way, but also express themselves through fashion. And that to me has been something I've always wanted to do. And so when I decided that I wanted to really be an independent artist for kids and families, I was like, why not give them that experience? Like why does it have to be like the norm? Like no disrespect to my fellow musicians that do children's music, but like when you think of kids music, there's always like that stereotype of just somebody playing guitar, like Phoebe from Friends, when she's like doing her coffee house, like
Yeah.
cat songs. And I'm like, but that, like, there's so much more. Like kids, like, why can't a 2 and a 5 and a 7-year-old just be wowed by the experience? So I have my, my AKA, which is like just bright orange hair. It's kind of like my trademark. And I, the crazier the colors, the louder the patterns, the mix match of it all. Like I've been changing it up in the last couple of years, especially more so during the whole shutdown, because like I've been virtual streaming, so I literally had to pick stuff from my closet. So I'm like, okay, well today it's going to be like a grunge day, or today it's going to be, so I've like kind of been changing it up, but always with the orange signature hair. And so but yeah, my on stage show is it really truly is an experience. It's not just singing songs, it's you know, every song. So if I'm doing a 30-minute set or a 60-minute show, it's all choreographed. Every song has high energy choreographed hip hop dancing. If it's not just me, I have hip hop dancers that accompany me. Or if it's like my entire live band, it's like the live band and then the hip hop dancers plus myself, like doing live singing and, you know, dancing. It's just like, it's truly an experience. And of course, the amazing outfits that we all have on stage.
You know, when I first saw your picture a couple years ago, I'm like, you know what? There was something special that I used to watch when I was a kid called Zoobly Zoo, and they had they
Okay.
up in outfits like of animals,
Okay.
had crazy costumes, and that's what I loved about it. And that, I think that was what made me want to watch it so much. And it was fun. And I like, you are the modern version of Zoobly Zoo without the animal costumes. So it's really
Aw,
fun. We just don't see this kind of stuff in children's um, entertainment anymore like we used to. And I
right.
think that's important because those are the fun things. I mean, when I look back, I can remember the Great Space Coaster, and I can remember Zoobly Zoo, and there's a couple other ones that I can't even remember the names to it, but I know the characters. And
Right.
that's special to me. And I want that to be special for the kids of today too.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, like, you know, it's kids have this really beautiful thing where they actually use their imagination, you know, and there are no boundaries when they're little kids, and they're accepting of everyone and everything, you know, especially the little ones. It's not until they kind of start going to school where you kind of like see them like then going, oh, I don't know if I should like that, because maybe they're now influenced by friends or older siblings. But when they're really little, like if you work with kids a lot, you'll see that they're accepting of everyone and everything, and they have so much love to give, and they use their imagination. And that is why, probably why I love I'm like a big kid at heart. Like that's never stopped in me. And I am accepting of everyone and everything. And my whole message is to like literally spread love and kindness. And why not be creative, and why not, like, there, you should never like limit yourself, you know. And that's kind of why I just kind of want to express that to the kids and just let them know like it's cool. Like there is no age limit to when expression should stop, and when um using your imagination should stop. I think that's what's being that's creative. That's creativity to me.
And you know what? You're a figment of their imagination, because that's
Yeah.
like, they like colors, they like different things. I mean, if you ever watch a kid dress up, they do some fun stuff. And you know,
Yes.
for people are like, I am not taking my kid out there like that. But on the other hand, it's fun, it's exciting, and I think that's what's so, I think that's what makes it so connecting for you to them, is they're like, wow, I could do this, you know, and it makes them feel special.
Exactly. And that's what you want. You want them to accept themselves, accept others, for their individuality. So yeah.
And I wanted you to be able to talk about some of the new stuff that you have coming out too before we get into Latin history. Um,
Okay.
what's your new stuff coming out? I'm excited to see. 'Cause
Uh,
you
I
teach.
have it right. I'm actually on my table because I'm actually doing some mailings. So I don't know if you could see that. That's like my new album, and it's called. And speaking of what we've just been talking about, it's like basically the theme of my entire album. It's called A mí me gusta ser yo. It's okay to be me. I'm super proud. This is my fourth album. I think I'm most proud of this album, not just because it's like my brand new album, but um, a lot of heart, soul, and passion went into it. And I think it mostly really describes who I am as an artist and as a person, who I've been my whole life. What we just talked about, it's a full album of celebrating your individuality, your uniqueness, being accepting of all, spreading love and kindness. Those are kind of like so many of the messages, because my songs are not your traditional children's songs. It's they're all original songs that I write with DJ Dallas, but it's literally inspiring educational messages, but with like pop, hip hop, rock, EDM beats. So it's like hard and edgy, but with like, instead of kids listening to Cardi B, they're listening to something cool where their older siblings can also like get down to these songs. But it's talking about it's okay to be me. So this is my first album though that is dual immersion. So 7 of the songs are in English and the same 7 are in Spanish. Because originally I thought, well, maybe I'll just release 2 different albums. I'm like, most people stream music these days. They don't really buy albums. Like, I call them collectibles. But actually, I've had requests for collectibles because somebody actually brought it to my attention. They're like, can you just order a small batch? And, like, I want one because you can't autograph a download. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So I ordered some small quantity, but I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna put everything together and have it come out as one whole album. And that's been a dream of mine actually since I was little. Like before I started doing kids music, was to be a crossover artist like Gloria Stefan or Selena Quintanilla, doing, both markets and staying true to their culture and to who they are, being Latin American, which I am. And so, yes, I'm really proud. This album literally just came out, like literally, I think it's been 2 weeks now. And I'm really excited about it. And I've been releasing music videos throughout, like, because I've been like kind of releasing singles up until just September 24th when the album came out with a music video. I have a couple more music videos that I'm going to be releasing really soon.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I know I enjoyed the last album that you had, and I know a couple of teachers that used it too, and they played it in their classrooms. So it definitely had a big hit. I know this one's going to do the same thing.
Yay, I'm excited. I like hearing that when teachers use it. I think they'll definitely love this then, because it's got the dual aspect to it. So I'll have to send you a copy.
So let's talk about your Latin heritage. I love
Yes.
this. And last time we talked, I found out that you were from Peru. And I sat there and said, I don't know a lot about Peru, and I should. So I started kind of, looking into it and stuff. And you got pyramids, you have history, you have some amazing food. And for anybody that doesn't know where it is, it's in South America, going down the west coast of the South American border. But what I found was really interesting is that it is the last country closest to Antarctica, because it hits the tips of Antarctica. I only can imagine how cold it is down there.
Well, it does get cold. I'm actually born here in the United States, but my mom, I'm first generation American. So my mom immigrated from Lima, Peru, and which is the capital of Peru, which is, like you said, in South America. My grandfather, so both my grandparents, obviously from Peru as well. My grandfather, though, lived in a very small town called Huancayo, and where just up until maybe, I don't know, like 20 years ago, they actually got electricity. Like it was like one of those old school town. Yeah. And he speaks a language called Quechua, which is native to Peru. He, like my ancestors are part Incan. So there's the beautiful, like, it's like one of the 7 wonders of the world, like Machu Picchu. which, I've visited. Like, I haven't been there in a while because my mom convinced my grandparents to move out here when they were alive, so they ended up moving with us. And my mom has a very small family, so it was just her and her brother, my uncle. And so I have like distant relatives that still live there, but I haven't been there in a while, since I was probably like a tween. And it's something that I have to do. I promised my grandfather that I would go back. And I really want to go back to his where he grew up, because I heard so much about it. And I'm just kind of so sad now that he always would try to teach me Quechua, which is not Spanish. It's like a whole other language. And I'm sure my mom has like cassette tapes of my grandfather, like, because he would try to put it on like a cassette tape for me to practice to. So I'm gonna have to dig those out. But it's a beautiful country, with amazing places to see, to visit. The food is amazing. So if you ever are like, I've never had Peruvian food, and there's a Peruvian restaurant by you, I suggest you get like ceviche mixto. If you like fish, I know it sounds weird, but it's like raw fish, kind of like sushi, but how it's like cooked sort of is it's marinated in lime juice, with like onions and just like sometimes it's served over potatoes or yuca. It's delicious. But there's also a dish, if you're not like a fish person, if you like meat, it's called Lomo Saltado, which it's like pieces of meat with purple onions and marinated and just like really yummy sauces. Um, the interesting thing with Peruvian food, it's always with white rice, but they put French fries like mixed in with the rice. I know it sounds strange, but that's like the thing. And it's so delicious. And then there's papa la huancaína, which has like this amazing greenish yellow cheesy sauce with eggs. It's so good. Now I'm like hungry. But there's so many things. And then of course Inca Cola, which is like Coca-Cola, but it's their own form of, I'm hearing thunder and lightning. This is so crazy. Like, I live in Los Angeles, California, and we've had like the craziest lightning like 2 days ago. It was so random. Nobody expected it. But anyways, the Inca Cola has like this bubblegum flavor. It's delicious. And then chicha morada, which is like a natural juice. It's like purple. My grandma actually used to make it. My grandma was such an amazing cook. So I was very fortunate to have like amazing food growing up at home.
See, that's what makes it so special and why I love to learn about people's heritage, because it tells our story. Our story
It
all
really
comes from
does.
somewhere. And
Yeah.
I want to experience those stories. I want to taste that food. I mean,
Oh, it's so good.
I want to see the dresses and the outfits that people wore that makes them special. I want to understand their religions. I want to understand all these things, because I think it tells a story. And if we can understand that story, I think we can be more strong as humans and be more compassionate towards each other, because we all have
Yes.
stuff that we contribute to this world.
Yeah, we all come from somewhere, or our families come from somewhere. And it's like really a beautiful thing. And I think it's something that I'm super, I guess, blessed and grateful that I like got to experience it just growing up. So like in my household, my dad speaks English. My mom has like an accent, like a lot of my friends couldn't. They're like, what is your mom saying? And at home, because my grandparents and my uncle lived with us and they didn't know any English, we spoke Spanish. Like, that was my first language. That's how we communicated at home. Even my dad, even though he had very like his Spanish, like my grandparents used to call him Tarzan, because it was just like this broken, crazy Spanish that my dad had. But we all communicated in Spanish. Like I said, my grandma, cooked every meal in the house, which was all amazing Peruvian food. So, and we listened, Latin culture music is so much a part of like there's always food and music in the house, and it's always very loud. I'm sure like my Italian friends, it's like, everybody talks loud, everybody's like huggy and like kiss, and it's just, you're just super passionate, right? And so that's how I was raised. And then with my dad, like my dad is Romanian and he's Jewish. So not only did I experience the different cultures that way, but also like I grew up, my mom's super Catholic, my dad's super Jewish, and nobody like so we celebrated every holiday under the sun. Like,
That's
because
terrible, right?
but the thing is what now looking back, I actually think it's kind of amazing because my parents never wanted to force either thing on their children. It was like, this is who you are. This is where you come from. And it's up to you to decide what you want to do when you grow up. So, cause I'd be like, well, mom, would you be upset if I decided I was going to be Jewish or vice versa? And my parents were like, no, like, because they faced, some, I guess, backlash, like, being from completely different religious backgrounds, like where my dad's family, some of his family members weren't accepting when they got engaged and married or didn't attend the wedding. And when they were dating, it was still in a time where mixed races wasn't like uh like a thing, so they were looked at differently. And my parents had all this stuff that they had to work through, but it was love that kept them together. And actually, kudos to both of my grandmas. Like my grandma was still living in Lima, Peru, and my Romanian grandmother was here. And when my parents got engaged, both of my grandmas started becoming pen pals, and neither one of them wrote in the language. And so like my grandparents would receive something and they would have to figure out what they were saying, but basically they were writing each other that they didn't care where they came from or what their children's religious backgrounds were, that they were just so happy that they found love. And so I'm like, oh, that makes me so it makes me like cry kind of, because it's like, it was like my grandmas that were like, no, we totally give this as a blessing to that they found love. So it's like, yes, kudos to the grandmas.
What a wonderful story. I love hearing stuff like that. That's special. And I
Yeah.
think we need more of that in this world today. Truly, we need more of that in this world.
For sure. I think that's what here in the United States, especially what makes it such a melting pot. I feel like the United States is like this melting pot of cultures, right? So many people come from so many different places. And I just think that we're all like, if do the ancestry.com, I'm sure everybody is mixed with something, and it doesn't just go back 5 years or 10 years. It's not something like, oh, it's brand new. Like, no, this has been going on for years before me and before so I just think that if we all learned how to appreciate cultures, and I'm like, I think the best way of doing that is by food and music.
Yeah,
Food and music unite us all, right? And so yeah, experience all kinds of food and listen to all kinds of music. And I feel really thankful that both my parents brought that, and that's how I was raised.
Can you say something in your grandfather's dialect? I'd love to be able to hear you say something.
Oh, I honestly that's something that I'm gonna have to dig cassette tapes. Maybe in our next interview, like I'll ask my mom and really practice, because I honestly, it's Quechua, and it's a whole other language in itself. And this was stuff that he used to teach me when I was a little kid. And I think when you're a kid or even a teenager, like, you just always think that your grandparents are going to be there with you forever, right? And you don't like appreciate it at the moment. And when they're gone, you're like, oh, I should have been practicing all that. But so next time when we get off the phone, I will definitely ask my mom if she can dig some of that stuff up, because that is something that I would love to just even remember phrases, maybe not have like a full on conversation, because there's not many people, unless I were living in that town, that speak Quechua. So, but yeah, next time.
I'll hold you to that.
Yes, yes. I'll be like, okay, this is how you say this.
Well, we're running out of time. I could talk to you forever. Tell them
Yes.
where they can find more about you, see what you got coming up, and shows. Of course, I want them to show up to shows, and of course, buy your albums and stuff.
Oh, yes. Okay. So my brand new album that I just mentioned, I mean, Me Gusta Serio, It's Okay to Be Me, is everywhere that you can download, stream, Spotify, Deezer, wherever you're at, Amazon, iTunes, Apple. But you can find me at twinkletimeofficial.com, or twinkletimeandfriends.com is my website. Just think Twinkle Time, look for orange hair, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube. I have so many music videos, educational webisodes for not just little kids, but for kids of all ages. I have more music videos that are about to come out. But my main platform that I love is Instagram, which is Twinkle Time and Friends. And I post all day, every day. As far as live shows, I do have a lot of live shows actually this month in October. And fingers crossed that we start traveling. There is hope. So I'm really hopeful that things will start coming back the way they used to be, because I used to travel and tour like over 300 days of the year, but it's coming back, I promise. But yeah, that's how you can find me.
Well, thank you for coming on and being a great guest. You are a beautiful person, a beautiful soul, and I'm so glad I had the chance to talk to you again, and we will definitely get you back on next time.
Thank you.
And guys, I have to take a quick commercial break. I got to pay bills, but I'll be back in about 2 minutes, so don't go anywhere.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.